the hell do you have on?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Connoisseur's Conversation. Tonight, we turn our attention to a note that has been basically one that has captivated perfumers and wearers alike for centuries. Today, I want to turn my thoughts and provocations to the note of cinnamon. Now, for me, coming across how it does, cinnamon is a spicy, warm, soft, and pervasive note that is a note of duality, so to speak, for me. It becomes fiery and bold, or it can become very subtle and very smooth. It's one that lingers long after a note fades, and it is one that is also a grounding to a composition, or a grounding note to a composition that becomes sultry with sweetness and peppery warmth. So when we talk about cinnamon, we talk about a spice that is of texture, of character, and of a great atmosphere, presenting an aura around you that become quite sexy and seductive. Today, we're going to explore the note in fragrances that is very much so alluring, and one that reveals its face across many different fragrances and genres. So if this sounds like the type of content you think you'll enjoy, pull up a seat, pour a glass, and of course, let's enhance. Everyone, welcome to the Dry Down, the lifestyle channel where we as enthusiasts aspire to enhance and elevate our olfactive sensory experiences through the understanding of the different aromas, facets, and nuances of scent, cigars, and wines. I'm of course your host Chris. Welcome to today's wonderful experience. Today, like I said, we're going to dive into the allure of cinnamon, told through the 8 fragrances that I've chosen, and I'm going to close it out to speak with a scent that's been in my collection for about 15 years. It's just a great finale and a masterpiece that would encapsulate this entire journey in which I want to take you on today when it comes to the note of cinnamon. So, when it comes to fragrances, the composition that we want to explore here, I'm going to take you to one that is from the house of Xerjoff, a very, very animalic fragrance, but it's one that I'm sure will captivate many of you in your styles. And when you want to go out into a bold yet grander type of fragrance, this is one that can very much so bring that type of aura around you. So let's get right into Luxor from the house of Xerjoff. So first off, like I stated, Luxor. Luxor is a fragrance of grandeur. Luxor places cinnamon at the heart of the woody composition that it is, with a nice facet that puts you in the notion that you're in an amber-filled temple. It feels classical, it feels almost architectural the way that it comes across. So with the cinnamon weaving its way through, you feel the resinous smoke, you smell the sexiness of oud, and of course you smell that very, very beautiful take of a subtle and sweet cinnamon note. For the gentleman who loves and craves opulence, Luxor is both a commanding and a regal scent. I think that one who enjoys fragrances that can take them in a journey can start here with Luxor, because you know, as I know, when it comes to the Oud Stars collection, Xerjoff really did an excellent job combining notes of cinnamon and oud with different fragrances, including Alexandria too. But when it comes to a very bold and audacious take on the cinnamon note in this genre I want to speak about, I had to choose Luxor. Very, very smooth fragrance, and also don't forget, it has a very nice note of cypriol oil and tobacco. Combine that with a little bit of myrrh and that cinnamon, gentlemen, we're talking about luxurious fragrances at its pinnacle. Get your nose on Luxor from the house of Xerjoff. Next up on this list, gentlemen, let's talk about Ormonde and the fragrance that they bring about called Xandria. Xandria, here it is. This is one that you've heard about, you've seen it out, and it's one that it has a very beautiful take on cinnamon. The take on this cinnamon is a bit drier. It's more meditative tone. It has this dry wood classical feel to it, a fragrance that basically is a restraint fragrance. It's a sophistication style fragrance, and it's one where the cinnamon softens the austerity of cedar and sandalwood with a little bit of punch of a boozy aromatic rum note. The aura on this one, I would say, definitely is a quiet authority aura that very much so is a trigger warning for noses around you to just come into play and just become enthralled with your aura. That's all said and done, simple and plain. The scent of Xandria is a very sexy, sensual, boozy, yet austere cinnamon note that you cannot get enough of wearing on your skin, especially in fall temperatures. Guys, get your nose on Xandria from the house of Ormonde. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about a Frédéric Malle fragrance which brings about cinnamon in its most provocative form. Let's talk about Musc Ravageur. This one is a fragrance that does not whisper, it growls. It has that sexy carnal nature to it, very daring, very magnetic. And I would say this one is the cinnamon that's fused with musk and vanilla that very much so creates one of the best ambery fragrances that have been created to date. Perfumery at its boldest statement is inside of Musc Ravageur. Very much so a untamed, very unafraid, very masculine fragrance that very much so grabs attention. It is one that has a desire written all over it. I would suggest you get your nose on this, especially if you want that animalic tone to go with a slight twist of the Cinnabon that you have, that bakery style, almost gourmand in its nature, but tastes just a little bit on the fringes so that it won't be called a gourmand. But get your nose on the cinnamon inside of Musc Ravageur. Like I stated, this is another one that has that infusion that makes it have a sexy growl to it, and it will be one of the most attention-grabbing fragrances in your collection. Once again, that is Frédéric Malle's Musc Ravageur. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about a fragrance from one of my most, I would say one of the most attention-grabbing perfumers that I've come across in the last few years. Very much so, I love his style, Jordi Fernandez. I love his style of perfumery. He's an artist that I'm very much so becoming more and more captivated by his artistic touch in perfumery. He is one who's penned the fragrance Venigia 21 from the house of Merchant of Venice, and this is just grandeur in a bottle. Once again, it shows how cinnamon as a ornamentation can be very beautiful when it flourishes among rich florals, woods, and spices. Elegant, baroque, it's indulgent, it's perfectly set for a gourmand take that I truly like. When I tell you guys, I do not really gravitate toward gourmands. They have to be in this vein where they're very spicy, very woody, but they have that sexy undertone to them, which guides them into that slightly on the fringe or just over the fringe and into the limelight of the gourmands. This one is one that, just like I stated, is indulgent. It's perfect for a guy like myself who thrives in the gilded setting and has the grandeur and gestures of provocative notions written all over it. This is Venigia 21. Get your nose on that from the house of Merchant of Venice. I tell you guys, this is one of the sexiest fragrances that you can get in. Next up, gents, let's talk about Amethyst from the house of Boadicea the Victorious. This one, Amethyst is a jewel tone type of spirit fragrance. Looking at the bottle, looking at the captivating blue tone, the violet tone of the color of the glass, one just frames cinnamon so well. It's a spark to this one. It's very much so one that has a regal spark, I would say. If I was to say, out of all the collection of cinnamon that I want to enjoy and putting your attention on, the one that smells the most refined and sexy with a modern twist is actually Amethyst. It's less about the raw power and more about the smooth sophistication of the scent when it comes to the cinnamon and the notion of it inside of this one. So this one is for the gentleman collector who wants that crown jewel in his collection when it comes to a cinnamon note. So if you have the chance and opportunity, get your nose on Boadicea the Victorious Amethyst. I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's one of those sexy, prolific style, night out, lounge night out, cigar bar nights type of fragrances. Get your nose on Amethyst. In this list, when we talk about sexy and seductive, that's one note that really is carried by cinnamon. I've talked about that in the past. I'm talking about it right now. This is a present take type of environment where we're talking about cinnamon in the fall, cinnamon in the winter. When it comes to a fragrance that very much so encapsulates that, is the definitive notion of sexy and seductive, and it has a cinnamon note in it. That is Side Effects. The cinnamon in this one, basically, it's one that is the most hedonistic out of this actual capsule I'm showing you. It's blended with rum, tobacco, vanilla. I would say at its most provocative, Side Effect is the one that you want to wear on a night out when you want to have that velvet type of indulgence that I talk about. You go out to a lounge, you want to be in the air where smoking is and billowing across the room. The tobacco smoke from the cigars is sweet. It's mild but sweet and bold. It's one that is encapsulated with this particular scent profile. It is one that is, when it's in the air, you have the scenery of a glass in your hand, the ice and the rocks in the glass or in the glass of your Manhattan. Laughter is echoing. You want a scent that has that flirtatious playfulness to you while also having a bit of a sophistication. When it comes to the playful notion of cinnamon and still being hedonistic and sensual while still being fair play for gentlemen and women, the unisex style, the cinnamon here is just one that seduces. It intoxicates and it lingers until dawn when you put it on at 10 p.m. So it's one of those captivating fragrances that just stays on skin for 8 to 10 hours and really develops, really becomes a calling card and an aura for you when you want to go out and be your sexiest. That is Side Effect from the house of Initio Parfums. Get your nose on it. Gentlemen, as I continue to share these very beautiful cinnamon fragrances, this is a video for you guys to go out and actually take notes, compile a list of these, go to see where you can get samples from them, because this is a list that really is going to turn heads for you guys coming this fall. As we talk about that and I think about that, when I reach for these fragrances and I reach for a cinnamon scent, one of the best that you can actually reach for at this moment is Angel Share. This is boozy, apple pie, seductive warmth in a bottle. This one here, I would say the cinnamon. It dances with cognac, praline, and vanilla just perfectly. It's one that is the most comforting yet luxurious fragrance from this particular capsule selection I'm showing you. It's approachable, it's gourmand, it's still accessible to the gentleman who wants to stay out on off the gourmand tip, but it has those gourmand notions from that praline. But the praline is a sweet nuttiness more than it is a cakey, foodie style for me, and that's why I enjoy this one as that approachable gourmand for myself. It's refined, it's a masterclass and a masterpiece of coziness and sensuality, and I think that if you get this in your collection by sample, decant, or even a full bottle, you will not be disappointed by what attention this particular scent brings you. Get your nose on Kilian's Angel Share. Next up in this capsule, let's talk about Heart from the House of Elegance London. Cinnamon reveals itself in a fine and refined notion with an emotional side to it in this one. This is one that really much so tugs at my heartstring. It doesn't overpower. It sits right, and it's I would say in the most beautiful way a composition can be made, to have a scent profile evolve on your skin and really take what it is to have cinnamon in the heart of it. This is the very best that I have smelled when it comes to that particular notion. This one is done by Julien Rasquinet. We all know how Julien Rasquinet has come in as another perfumer who has done great artistry, great work, and has done magnificent compositions. This one here, Heart, is a fragrance that is of connection. It's one of sincerity. And it's one for a man who really understands that quiet power is restraint and it is sophisticated, but it also works just in numbers. Quiet power is one of those things that you need to have in your life, and if you want that in the cinnamon notion, get your hands on Heart from the House of Elegance London. Last but not least, gentlemen, the final word. I told you at the beginning of this video I had a fragrance for you guys that I have never put on this channel before, but I've had it for so long in my collection. And now, gentlemen, the piece that is resistance. Let's talk about, out of all these 8 fragrances, I'm going to show you a cinnamon that is versatile. It is one that is a fragrance that encapsulates all things that is sexy about the fragrances from the house of Tom Ford. This is Plum Japonais. This one here, this is a scent not merely worn, it is a scent of experience. It is a scent that where plum is rich and dark and intoxicating. It is a scent where cinnamon is one that acts as a bridge, just tying fruit to wood, spice to resin, and it creates the atmosphere of a velvety, smooth indulgence with a space of warmth and an aura of sexiness around you. It's a sweetness that is then also combining and interacting with the smoke that is just intertwining into a woody concoction that feels like you're stepping into one of the best fragrance lounges you've ever smelled. It's lacquered woods, it's glowing lanterns, it's silk drapes, it's cinnamon. But it doesn't shout. It's one that is very sexy. It resonates. It lingers. It's invisible as a thread of refined mystery going through every room that you walk through, and it all tailors back to you, the sexiest smelling person in the room. So if cinnamon across these 8 fragrances shows range, Plum Japonais is the encapsulation of that work, the masterwork that blends warmth, indulgence, depth into one unbelievably beautiful, seductive, and unforgettable experience. One that I've cherished for years. I'm very, very happy that I have this discontinued scent in my collection. Beautiful fragrance from House of Tom Ford. That is Plum Japonais. Cinnamon, gentlemen, it is not just a spice, it is a storyteller, a note that bridges the worlds of warmth and sensuality with the world of austerity and indulgence. And in these fragrances, it is one that has become a signature profile for many of us. So we talk about refinement and intrigue when it talks about spice notes. I think that you should look no further than cinnamon as the one to be your calling card this fall of 2025. When we talk about autumn edits and being beautiful this fall, being seductive this fall, being intriguing this fall, we're talking about notes that have the characteristics of spice. And what further can you go than having cinnamon? That's fair warning. It's one of those notes that gets a lot of attention, young men. I say and suggest always that you find these things in sample form and in decant form first. But I will say this: when you're collecting these fragrances and you have these in your collection, these are things that really become staples and signatures. And that's one thing I want to present to you guys. So as always, I want you to remember that scent is memory, collecting is legacy, and community is culture. And we here at the Dry Down, we are the culture. We are presenting and embodying emphatically what it is to enjoy scent, cigars, and wines. And I want to thank you guys for tapping in. Thank you guys for subscribing and always showing up. Have a blessed day. And remember, stay bold, stay balanced, and stay enhancing. And I'll see you guys in the next capsule. Till then, peace.